Hi everyone, just wanted to make a quick video showing you a little bit more about how to do the life plan part 1. This is our first project in Excel that we're doing. If you haven't got Excel on your computer, you need to go get it. I put some instructions in one of the announcements early last week about how, or I guess it's still this week while I'm recording this, but about how to obtain that. You can get a full, I believe it's the full Microsoft Office suite for free as a Pathway student. So I highly suggest taking advantage of that because it's expensive software and you absolutely need Excel for this class. Just to clarify, if you're using a Mac, you can get Excel for, you can get Microsoft Office for Mac as well. The Numbers program, which is like Apple's version of Excel, is not acceptable, and I can't grade it. So don't take it personal, but I won't award any points at all for a .numbers file being turned in because I don't have a Mac and I have no way to look at it. And to be honest, as we go into this, we're going to be using some formulas, not real complicated ones, but even sometimes the simple formulas just don't work in .numbers files. So, okay, so get Excel if you don't have it. Here's the rubric for the life plan part 1, and here's how I got to that. I went to, scrolling up to lesson 2, and then I scrolled down to the portfolio project, life plan part 1 instructions. That took me here. Excuse me. And so read all these instructions, read this whole rubric carefully. So student is using electronic spreadsheet. That means, did you use Excel? So you should not be submitting a Word document. You should not be submitting a PDF. It needs to be an Excel document. You get 4 points just for submitting an Excel document. Spreadsheet is well organized, easy to read, includes appropriate labels. Okay, so label stuff. I'm going to show you an example in a minute, and I'll show you how I labeled things. This is a real important one. Student created the spreadsheet from scratch. You cannot use a template downloaded from the internet. This budget must be created using a blank file. That means, when I come here, this is how it should be when you start. You should start from this kind of a completely blank, completely from scratch, and making everything on your own. Okay, so what else here? Students' projected income is greater than the sum of expenses. I'll show you that in my example as well. That's worth a couple points. Student spreadsheet includes a title describing the content and time period. Worth a couple points. Student spreadsheet is submitted as an attachment and uses proper file name listed in the directions. Okay, so here is, it says right here, save your spreadsheet as life plan _ your name. So life plan _ Brent Michelson is how I would submit it. You get 5 points just for turning it in. So if you turn in a spreadsheet that has this as the title, you get 5 points here, 4 points here. You get 9 points just for turning it in, even if it had nothing in it. Please don't do that. Just do the assignment. But, you know, I'm just pointing out that you can get 9 points just for that part. Okay, so let's go over to the spreadsheet. And it said in there that you could use whoops, that's not what I meant to click on, but that's what I'm going to. So it said you could use the one for the money budget as an example of what this project could look like. So if you scroll down to resources here, and then scroll, well, it's loading, and then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and one for the money is right there at the bottom. If you click on that, that's going to bring you to this page, and if you scroll down to page 7, should be right about here-ish, then, oops, there we go. There is an example of what you're going to create. It's pretty simple. And if you think it doesn't look simple, well then keep watching and you're about to find out. But this is about what it should look like. Okay, so we're going to start out by giving it a title. So budget for January 2018. Okay, and we're going to have income, and I'll put my wages, and then we're going to have expenses, and I'll say tithing. And you can make different categories as you know, whatever fits your needs. I'm just doing this as an example, but make it realistic. Don't just do this and say, okay, I've made 4 categories, that's good enough. Make it realistic. Put in it what you would actually need in your budget, and hopefully you're actually utilizing this as, you know, to try it out as a real budget. But utilities, I'm going to put that too. I'm going to put transportation, I think I spelled that right. Loan payments, medical, and I'll say clothing too. Oops. Clothing. Okay. I'm going to do that too. In fact, you know what? If you need to add a line, you can go over here, hover over the number, right click, and you can say insert. And it inserts a line there. So I'm going to insert 2 lines though. I'm going to say, other income and total, just so I can show you guys. Okay, and one more thing I'm going to put on here, income less expenses. Okay, if you double click on the line between 2 columns, that automatically adjusts the width of this column for the widest cell. So it made it wide enough that you can see the words in every cell. That's what I just did there. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say this column is going to be for planned budget, and this one is going to be for actual budget. Now I'm going to say, just for an example, I'll say 3,000 for wages, nothing for other income right now, so that's going to make 300 for my tithing. I'll put 250 for savings, just as an example. We'll say 400 for my food. Rent, let's say that's $825 a month. Utilities, maybe I want $235 to cover my gas and electric and whatnot. Transportation, maybe I need $150 to cover gas and whatnot. $300 a month for my car payments maybe, and $35 for medical, and we'll say $150 for clothing. Okay, so all this, so that's going to be, obviously the total for my wages, or for my income, is going to be 3,000 because that's all that was in there. And if you add all this up, that's going to be 2,645 is what that adds up to. And the remaining is 355. Okay. Now I want to show you a quicker way to do just that. Okay, to add this up, because if you try to add this up in your head, you could make mistakes. So if you just take and you do, so this is where I want the total to be. So I'm going to say, and we'll use this in a later life plan assignment. I'm going to say equals sum, open parentheses, and then I'm going to highlight everything I want it to add up and say close parentheses. Another way that I could have done that, so just so you can see what I did there, equals sum, open parentheses, I highlighted all this stuff, close parentheses, and pressed enter, and it added up. So that way, if I was to say, instead of 250, say I wanted 300, it automatically adds that up for me. If I say, no, I do want it 250, adds that up for me. down here, instead of doing the math by myself to say 355, I could say equals my total income minus my total expenses. And that's going to keep track of my income less expenses. So in our rubric, we said that this needs to be that this needs to be greater, our total income needs to be greater than the total expenses. That's because you want to be able to pay for all your expenses, right? And so you need to be budgeting so that if this was larger, then that means I need to go back here and figure out, okay, what can I, maybe clothing, maybe I don't need 150 right now. Maybe I can do a little bit less and get by on less clothing expense this month. Okay, so then I've got my labels here, right? I have my title here, budget, and I have for January 2018, so it has the date. I have my income less expenses is greater. I've got my more labels here. This is my income, this is my expenses, and these are the categories. So if we go back to the rubric here, and we say we used a spreadsheet, it's organized and has the appropriate labels. We created it from scratch. Income is greater than the sum of the expenses. There's a title that describing the content and the time period. And when I save it, I'm going to save it as lifeplan_Brent Michelson. And then I'm going to upload that. I can click right here, click here to submit your assignment. And that will bring me to the page where I'm going to upload my assignment. At least it should. Here we go, yep. So then you'll click add file and my computer and upload. Then you'll go find the file and then say add, I believe. There we go. So now it's right there. If there's anything that you want to say with this, you don't have to put anything in the comments, but if you have any comments that you would like to include, you may put them there. Then you click submit, and there you go. That's going to submit your life plan assignment, and then it'll show up so that I can come grade it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, but your biggest thing that you're going to want to do is to go look at that rubric and follow it to the T.